Hi guys, welcome back to Listener's Haven. Today I'll be telling you the summary of the novel Rudali written by Mahaswetha Devi. So the main character in this novel is Sanichari. Sanichari lives in a village called Tahad, and the people of Tahad are mainly divided by their caste, which is Ganjus and Dushats, and Sanichari was a Ganju by caste. Majority of the people living in the village had to suffer poverty, which includes Sanichari as well. Now, Sanichari's mother-in-law blamed Sanichari for all the misfortunes that happened in the family. And the reason was that Sanichari was born on an inauspicious Saturday. And Sanichari would tell to herself, just because she was born on an inauspicious Saturday, she is an unlucky daughter-in-law. But what about the other women who were born on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesdays? Are they happy? Initially, Sanichari's family considered Sanichari, her husband, her mother-in-law, her brother-in-law, and her sister-in-law. Sanichari could never talk back to her mother-in-law because she died too soon. And when she died, Sanichari's husband and her brother-in-law were locked in jail. Because Malik Mahajan Ramavatar Singh had locked up all the Dushit and Ganju males of the village due to loss of some wheat in his farm. Sanichari did not have any time to cry because she and her sister-in-law had to do all the preparation for the funeral process. Sanichari's mother-in-law died in great pain. She was lying in her own excrement crying out for some food. But the economic status of their house was so poor that they could not even afford food. So in the pouring rain, Sanichari and her sister-in-law were dragging their neighbors home with them so they could make all the arrangements for the cremation. They had to make sure that the rites were carried out before the night was over, otherwise they had to bear the cost of the repentance rites. That is, they had to pay extra money if they postponed the cremation overnight. The economic status of the house was such that they could not even afford a cup full of grain. So Sanichari and her sister-in-law together lowered the old women to the ground. 3 years later, Sanichari's brother-in-law and sister-in-law passed away. Even this time, Sanichari did not have any time to cry or mourn because Ramavatar Singh had started a rumor that he was going to throw the Dushats and the Ganjus out of the village. Everyone in the village were worried. As far as Sanichari and her husband, they did not know what's going to happen next. They were worried about how to burn the corpse and how to feed the neighbors cheaply at the Shraddha. After this, Sanichari and her husband attained a piece of land left by her father-in-law. And now they thought that maybe life would go normal from now on. One day, Sanichari's husband told to Sanichari, let's visit the Baisakhi Mela at Tohri. Baisakhi Mela is a harvest festival, so they can go and worship Lord Shiva as well, as they have managed to save up to 7 rupees. So Sanichari's husband and their 6-year-old son Buduwa leave to the festival. There, the milk Lord Shiva was being bathed with was collected in large pots. People had to pay money to the pandas or pandits so they can drink a glass of milk. The milk gave off a sour stink and was thick with buzzing flies, and that's when they discovered that people who drank this milk had been infected by cholera. As it was the time of British rule, in the medical camps there were only 5 tents available, but there were 60 to 70 patients. And Sanichari's husband was one among them. So the British officials burnt all the corpses of the people who were infected by cholera quickly. They did not give Sanichari and Buduwa any time to shed tears. So they dragged Sanichari and Buduwa for a vaccination shot to protect them from the disease. The Pandit of the Shiva temple told Sanichari that she had to make a ritual offering there before returning to her village because her husband had died there. So Sanichari washed off her sindoor and broke her new shilak bangles that she had just bought at the fair and spent her precious rupee and a quarter for the pindadana. But when Sanichari returned to Tahad, the Pandit of Tahad told her that she had insulted the local priest by offering a pindadana in the village of Tohri. So in order to appease the priest of Tahar, she was forced to receive 20 rupees as a debt from Ramavatar Singh, and she kept a thumbprint on a paper stating that she would repay 50 rupees through bonded labor on his field for the next 5 years. Sanichari was so busy that she had to make the arrangements for Shraddha and she had to take care of Buduwa that she had very less time to cry. Sanichari worked very hard in Ramavatar Singh's field, but when she went home, she took no wage because she was a bonded labor. And Sanichari got a chance to free herself from this debt. Once, Sanichari was looking after a black calf, and that was the time Ramavatar's uncle was in deathbed. And there was a belief that if the calf's tail was placed in a dying man's hand, it would help him to cross the Baitarani river, which is a mythical river that separates the present life and the afterlife. So Sanichari told Ramavatar Singh that she would give the tail of the calf, but instead he have to write her debt as repaid, which Ramavatar Singh did because after his uncle's death he'd be receiving a lot of wealth. So he agreed to Sanichari's request. Days passed, Sanichari's son grew up, he married a woman and now they had a child named Haroa. But Sanichari's bad luck kept following her. Buduwa was diagnosed with tuberculosis. So Sanichari told to her daughter-in-law that Buduwa is ill. So she had to take care of him until he is alive, which her daughter-in-law did. But the day Buduwa died, Sanichari's daughter-in-law left the house, leaving behind her son Haroa alone, and she decided to become a whore to meet her own needs. Even this time, Sanichari could not cry because she had to take care of a newborn baby. And the villagers of Tahad were a great help to Sanichari, especially Dulan. It was Dulan's wife who nursed Haroa. So when Haroa grows up, Sanichari sends him to work under Lakshman Singh. Initially, Haroa works and he brings home the sattu and gur he is given. As time passes, Haroa becomes bored and restless that he doesn't bring home any of his pay and he buys useless things instead. Then one day, Lakshman Singh informs Sanichari that Haroa isn't working at the shop and he spends all his time at the magic show. After listening this, Sanichari gives Haroa a nice thrashing and she warns him that if he misbehaves again, she would cut off his foot, which makes Haroa to put his mind for a while in his job. But still, he runs away with the magic show team. Even this time, Sanichari did not cry. Instead, she was looking for him everywhere. And while she was searching for Haroa, she meets Bikni, her childhood playmate. Sanichari and Bikni talk with each other and share their stories. Bikni tells her that she has 3 daughters and a son and she had worked really hard to get them married and she had managed 4 cows and 2 goats by her own. The Mahajan was claiming Bikni's house for the repayment of the debt. So when Bikni told her son that let's sell the cows and repay the debt to the Mahajan, her son took the cows and calves away to his in-laws and he moved in with his in-laws. So Bikini sold her 2 goats and she came to this marketplace. As Bikini didn't have anywhere else to go, Sanichari told her that maybe she could come with her to Tahad. Both of them feed themselves with the money Bikini had bought by selling the goats. But when there is no money left anymore, Sanichari and Bikini go to Dulan for an idea. And Dulan is the one who gives Sanichari and Bikini the idea of becoming Rudalis. Now Rudalis are professional mourners who cry and wail in front of dead bodies. Dulan tells them that the rich family members are too busy trying to find the keys to the safe to divide the wealth of the dead person. And they find honor by pompously spending at the funeral. So Duran tells them that the Malik has ordered a fancy funeral and there are already 2 whores who are ready to wail near the corpse, and if they both accompany them by wailing, crying and accompanying the corpse, they'll get money and rice, and on the day of Kriya ceremony they'll get clothes and food. Sanichari feels nearly exploded that she tells to Dulan, "Don't you know I can't shed tears? These 2 eyes of mine are scorched." To which Dulan replies that if your tears can feed you, then why can't you shed tears? Dulan talks about Bhairab's father and his generation which looked after the horse. That after the Maliks died, the horse were genuinely affectionate towards them and they wailed and wept when the Maliks died. But the Lakshman Singh's generation ill-treated the horse like dirt, and that is why they don't make convincing Rudalis. Dulan also talks about Gambhir Singh, who had kept a whore and had a daughter by her. As long as the whore was alive, he kept the child in great comfort. But when the mother died, he told the child that a whore's daughter is a whore, and she must practice the same profession and had to support herself. And this was how whores were treated during this age. When Sanichari and Bikini accept to become Rudalis, Dulan takes them to Bhairav Singh's accounts keeper Bachan Lal. And when Bachan Lal saw them, he told, "You will get 3 rupees each and you will get wheat." But Dulan bargained with Bachan Lal and asked him for 5 rupees each and to give rice instead of wheat. During the funeral, Sanichari and Bikini wailed so loudly and sang well-chosen phrases in praise of Bhairav Singh. Sanichari and Bikini wailed all the way to the cremation ground and all the way back. They were so professional in this job. Each of them earned 5 rupees and 2.5 seers of rice. Bachan Lal told them that you must be back for the Kriya ceremony. And when they went back for the Kriya, they got clothes and feasted on puri, kachori and besan laddu. They packed some little portion to take home and they shared some with Dulan's wife and Dulan. So Dulan told them that they have to find out who is ill and who is dying. Otherwise, they won't get the information in the correct time. And they also had to arrange for more Rudalis. To which Bikini agreed and said that she'll go to the Randi Bazaar and bring a few whores to act like Rudalis. Everyone wanted Sanichari and Bikini as Rudalis after seeing their performance at Bhairab Singh's funeral. They were professional Rudalis. So now they fixed their own rates. Just for wailing, one kind of rate. Wailing and rolling on the ground, 5 rupees and 1 sikka. Wailing, rolling on the ground and beating one's head, 5 rupees and 2 sikkas. Wailing and beating one's breast, accompanying the corpse to the cremation ground, rolling around on the ground there, for that the charge is 6 rupees. At the Kriya ceremony, they wanted a cloth, preferably a length of plain black cloth. There was such a demand for the pair who wailed at Bhairab Singh's funeral that it was almost like a war of prestige. When Gokul Lala's father died, he asked Sanichari and Bikini to come every day till the Kriya ceremony. He gave them sattu and gar every day, saying, "We acquire virtue by feeding you." He also gave them good quality cloth, unlike the Malik Mahajans, who palmed off the cheapest variety. When Dulan heard about this, he said, "From now on, you must visit your client's home every day till the Kriya ceremony. They are bound to give something to Rudalis. At these times, no one really keeps a strict eye on expenditure." Sanichari and Bikini talk about the villagers who try to raise their prestige by holding grand funerals. They talk about Nathuni, who had isolated his mother in a room and he hasn't bothered her with any treatment. No herbal remedies, no medicines, no injections. She is still alive and he is stocking up sandalwood and salwood for a sensational funeral pyre. He is not willing to spend a paisa on trying to cure her, but plans to spend 30,000 on her funeral. Here Mahaswetha Devi is emphasizing the fact that people try to raise their prestige by holding grand funerals, but they are not even able to cry for the loved ones, their own family. She talks about how rich people feel indignified to cry at a funeral but are ready to take the wealth of their dead person and to divide it. By the end of the novel, Sanichari receives the news that Gambhir Singh is dying. And that's when Bikini tells Sanichari that she would make a quick trip to Ranchi. When Sanichari asks why, Bikini replies that she had seen her nephew-in-law at the marketplace and he had asked her to come to his daughter's marriage. Bikini tells Sanichari that her son might also come to the wedding and it could be a chance for her to see him. Sanichari tells her to leave and Bikini tells that she'll be back within 4 days. Sanichari accompanies Bikini to the bus stop. A few days passed and Gambhir Singh's condition worsened. Sanichari was expecting Bikini to return, but she didn't. 6 days had passed, but Bikini has still not returned. One day, while she was carrying a load of twigs on her head, she saw a stranger. With a shaven head, bare feet, Sanichari asked, "Is Bikini dead? Are you her nephew-in-law?" The man replied, "Yes." She felt a landslide within. Then she asked, "How many days ago?" "4 days," said the man. Sanichari asked, "What happened?" "Asthma, complicated by a chest cold," he replied. Bikini had drank a glass of sharbat on the way and then the wheezing became worse. Then Sanichari asked him, did she get to meet her son? To which he replied that he didn't come. The man asked, "Did my aunt leave any belongings here?" To which Sanichari replied that no, nothing. You call her your aunt and she died in your house. But all these days she was alone and homeless. After the man left, Sanichari did not cry, but she tried to process the situation. Bikini's death affected her livelihood, her profession. So Sanichari left to see Dulan. Dulan says that it is wrong to give up one's profession. Bikini is no more, and that means Sanichari has to take over her place. He tells to Sanichari that you will have to go and find a horse from the Tohri Randi Bazaar and fix them. Sanichari is worried to go to the Randi market because her daughter-in-law is also a whore in the Randi market. To which Dulan says, "Your daughter-in-law is there, is that it? Isn't she also a ruined whore like the others? She needs to eat and earn like everyone else. So take her as well." That is when Sanichari realizes that her daughter-in-law left the house because of hunger. So Sanichari gets into her black clothes and leaves to Randi Bazaar. She feels no embarrassment asking about the direction to the red light area because Now she considers stomach more important than anything else. She calls out the horse from the 5 rupee horse to the 1 sikka ones, including her daughter-in-law. Tells them 5 rupees a head. Everyone will get rice and cloth at the Kriya ceremony. And the young ones asked, "And us?" To which Sanichari replies that when you grow old, you'll have to do this anyway. So while I'm around, I'll tell you. As they all set off to Navagrah, everyone was astonished at the sight. The Gomasta hissed, "Have you brought the entire red light district with you?" Sanichari said, "Why not?" The Malik said, "Make a great noise, a big fuss, something people will talk about." And that is what Sanichari insisted to the horse. The Randi Rudalis surrounded the swollen corpse and started wailing, hitting their heads on the ground. The novel gives us a very simple message. When in rich families the son kills the mother and the mother the son, and nobody is ready to weep for their loved ones, their relation, their family, then it is not half so cheap to sell their flesh and to become horse or to become Rudalis. Because by doing this, they are only going to feed their stomachs and build nothing.